everyone, it's Katya, Real Women's Wisdom. Thank you so much for joining me, and I want to give a big welcome to all the new subscribers. Thank you for coming on board, and I hope that you continue to enjoy the content that I am inspired to put out for you all. So as you all know, I feel very strongly to share my experiences from being raw vegan for almost all of 20 years and of course exploring veganism prior to that. Also I want to share some of the wisdom that's come from me being on this planet for quite a long time, and to give you the opportunity to know that life was very different as far as the food choices we had, what was actually encouraged by our governments as opposed to today, some 40, 50 years ago. So to have that comparison allows you to have a bigger and broader perspective of really what's taking place and coming down quite fast in today's modern world, as far as us being told what to do, what to eat, more specifically, when to eat, by so-called experts that feel they have a right to control that. So that's one of the topics I want to bring up as today. I want to share that. So how do we start this? Yes, food shaming. Food shaming has been in the news, basically being highlighted a lot in the vegan communities, the ex-vegan communities. So food shaming, of course, also the media, mainstream, government, corporations, through telling us what to eat, they're actually using the ploy to shame us and to make us feel guilty. So the great thing is that what's happening with social media, it allows people to talk to each other, to share stories, and people can post and say, look, I've healed diabetes or hypothyroidism or arthritis or XYZ from taking sugar out of my life and from eating animal fats. And of course, the experts then go into damage control, because this is not what they want to happen. They don't want to have people choose what they want to eat according to their own direct experience, their own body's wisdom, their own intuitive guidance. That's the last thing that they want. So, of course, when this happens, yes, they go into damage control, and you'll find that there is a lot more studies or things that they start to throw down our throat to counter what we ourselves have experienced. But I want you to not take notice of this, because the great thing is there seems to be a lot more people who are actually rising up against these, this kind of tyranny in a way. And again, it's all about making us feel guilty and ashamed. It's kind of that village mentality, blaming us for having this large carbon footprint, or, that we're responsible for the planet's demise, not to mention what's going on with every corporation that's chuffing out incredible toxins and damage the environment. None of that gets mentioned. So just be very aware who's behind these agendas, who is, backing these people. That's really important. So question, and most importantly, I encourage you all to speak out more, share your stories amongst other people, because then you don't feel alone. You'll be able to go, oh, okay, that's happening to me too. And then you will know that what is happening in your own body is a guide for you. So, and of course this goes with the meat tax too that they want to bring down, because obviously these industries want to target people who can't afford meat, and of course will turn to more sugar, high carb foods that are destroying their health, right? So, and of course we know that cultures thrived, were nourished and healed by animal foods, by animal fats, and traditional foods that have made humans thrive for thousands upon thousands of years. And so there's proof of that all around us. So, and of course I want to mention too, it wasn't that long ago, even something like sunshine. I mean, it's been villainized now, but mothers were encouraged to take their babies out in the sun in a stroller, get some sun in their bodies. It was encouraged by the government. Would you believe? In the late 50s and pre-war, post-war, Second World War I'm talking about. So all these things and feeding your baby, like I said, organ meats and nourishing foods. That was what was going on. So now we've got the complete opposite. And luckily, people who are older can see this rort, if you like, and see through it, because we've been around long enough to know a lot different. But also the fact that you yourself will have experienced remarkable differences in your health and well-being once you've begun to eat animal foods again and repair some of the damage that's done to not only long-term veganism but even short-term veganism. Because we know that a lot of the grains and legumes and beans today are particularly targeted and with glyphosate. And I wanted to also say that wheat is another crop that is heavily treated with glyphosate, particularly just before harvest. And of course that's what's actually causing a lot of the damage. And we've got people now who are presenting at lawyers and putting forth cases of severe diseases created by the prolonged contact with Roundup, glyphosate. So there's about 8,000 cases pending. So, the government's not doing anything and people have to take this into their own hands. So hopefully this will continue to gain momentum. So I encourage you all to avoid grains, full stop, because they just mess up our digestion and it's not something that we handle well. They've been around not that long, if you look back in the whole scheme of history, and we do thrive better without them, and I certainly find that with the people I work with too. So all right, then of course they want us to keep eating a lot of sugar, and that's what's creating a lot of these illnesses that we all have, that are related to high sugar consumption and high carb vegan diets in particular. All right, so I just want to touch also on fasting and detoxing, and I have a story which I won't say today because I want to keep this video a little bit shorter. I'm going to do another one in the next day or so, regarding a couple of experiments I've done, and it will bust a lot of the myths around parasites, particularly meat being the the villain, the culprit that brings infestations of parasites into your body. In fact, it's not the case at all. So again, another brainwashing, another lot of propaganda that we have been taught in order that we can consume these high sugar, low fat foods. So in regard to sugar, a lot of vegans ex-vegans have blood sugar problems from the amount of fruits. And, I've been fruitarian for 3 years, between 2011 and 15, only 4 years. And so that was that period of time I did incur a lot of damage. And I know what it's like to be really addicted to the ideology, addicted to fruit. What I've done now is taken all fruit out of my diet, and I do this for a lot of people. I suggest that it does help you to regulate and stabilize your blood sugar again and start the repair process. And it also gets you into these truer signals of hunger. They're not fueled by blood sugar fluctuations, by these rapid changes in levels caused by eating a lot of sugar. So that's another great thing. And you'll find, I'm finding that I'm eating maybe 2 meals a day of predominantly meats and animal fats and very small amounts of medicinal plants and fermented foods. And I feel very satiated, very nourished. And surprisingly, pork fat is one of the nourishing foods. It's been listed as a top 10. It's really, really nourishing. So if you haven't tried that, it's really great for you as well. So start to bring in more of those fats and foods, animal foods. So the other thing I wanted to just quickly touch on, and that is compassion for ourselves and others. We're in a time now, not only have we got this food shaming that's taking place in the media, but we've got it amongst the ex-vegan groups and the carnivores and all different factions of these of communities that are causing division and separation, right? And we all want to be able to feel we can eat what we choose, what we feel is aligned with us at any given time, without that fear of being judged or persecuted or ridiculed. It's not a great feeling. So, and we want that for everybody. We want to be in a place like that. And so, like I say, we're in a time where there's no previous culture where we've had so much focus on weight and perfectionism and rigidity and this obsession with food. It's really fueling so much orthorexia, and to the point where people just have no idea what to eat, when to eat, and they're confused. Hence, fasting, falling into the traps of fasting, and by overnight gurus and detox specialists, overnight ones who tell them to keep fasting or fast 2 to 3 times a week, which is ridiculous, particularly if you're well, it's not ridiculous, it can be quite dangerous, particularly if you are quite petite or small build to begin with and you don't have much weight on you. That's the worst kind of advice, because the last thing your body needs is to be thrown into more stress. And particularly in today's stressful world, a lot of us are, have high cortisol levels too, from low level stress, from being subjected to a lot of the EMFs, just the environment, the toxicity. All of these are playing a part where our bodies are just struggling in many cases. Not all the time, but, it happens to be more frequently. So fasting is the worst thing to do in those cases. And it has have its place. I'm not saying it's bad, but be aware if there's anything around clean eating and being pure and cleaner. And you've got to keep getting things out of you, because you do have already an inbuilt detox system. Your lungs, your kidneys, your liver, your skin, lymphatic system. It's designed to take care of these things quite easily, that the toxins that we build up moment to moment just from breathing and living, and that's been working very well. So be very aware of that, please, particularly if there's the puritanical attachments and spiritual attachments with ascension and being purer than other people. It's very, very important. And don't put your body through that, because it can really cause some damage, as I'm seeing with a lot of young people. All right, so this is a shorter video. I do want to talk a little bit more about my experience with eating meat now and what's happened with the parasite side. But do have more compassion for people, okay? And do try to cultivate that, so that we don't have the division and separation, which is what governments and corporations want to occur. So we can allow people the choice of whatever they feel is in alignment with their own body at any given time. All right, so if you've got any questions, if you've got anything regarding some kind of damage that you feel you've experienced from being vegan, please let me know in the comments below. I'd love to address them. And I also want to talk about in the next video about skin and about caffeine in particular, and overconsumption of that, and how that also aggravates blood sugar disorders as well. So just let me know if there's anything particularly you'd like me to bring up and discuss. Certainly would love to hear your comments. And if you'd like a private consultation with me, I do quite a few, and I help people transition over from vegan, through that transition, and particularly the mind side, because I understand how intense that can be, and I have quite a bit of success getting people to deconstruct their programming. So, all right, so all the best. Thank you again for watching, and we'll see you again soon. Okay, lots of love.